Good and it's on. Roger. BCS arm switch is on. Okay, Victor. Landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Roger. Inboard and outboards are on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Oh, looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Damper 3. Get your pitch to 0. Pitch is out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Alpha hold is off. Prep selectors emergency. Flight comm. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
All right.
Steve Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man.
All right, hey everyone, Jeff here at StopThePirates.blogspot.com. It's April 18th, 2017. It's tax day. Your taxes are due today if you're a taxpayer. I doubt very many people watching this channel are file their tax returns. I don't know, maybe. I wanted to read something here. I can find it. This is a speech giving before Congress. The guy's name is James Traficant. He's a congressman from Ohio. He's now dead, but this is in the congressional record. Mr. Speaker, we are now here in Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization. We members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the United States government. We are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it's a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act of March 9, 1933, 48 Stat 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress, in session June 5, 1933, joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all the United States government offices, officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war powers. With the constitutional republican form of government now dissolved, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. The new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and/or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. That's Public Law 94-564, page 8. Section House Resolution 13955 reads in part, the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. So they came after him for making this speech and throwing some trumped up charges. He had to spend some time in prison, and then he died of like cancer or something. It's pretty sad. But it's guys like this that'll come out and tell you the truth from time to time. And but look at what he says. The United States government today exists in name only. But today being tax day, this is another quote here. Or a question, do federal income tax revenues pay for any government services, and if so, which government services are funded by the federal income taxes? And the answer is no. The money trail is very difficult to follow in this instance because the IRS is technically a trust with a domicile in Puerto Rico, which is interesting too because RICO actually stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, which is what this scam is. It's a full Ponzi by any measure. So 31 United States Code 1321A62. As such, their records are protected by laws which guarantee the privacy of trust records within that territory jurisdiction, provided that the trust is not also violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. There's technically not an agency of the federal government. That's the IRS. They're not an agency of the federal government, as that term is defined in the Freedom of Information Act. In the Administrative Procedures Act, the government of the federal territories are expressly excluded from the definition of agency in those acts of Congress. And all evidence indicates that they are a money laundering extortion racket and conspiracy to engage in a pattern of racketeering activity in violation of 18 United States Code 1951 and 61. They appear to be laundering huge sums of money into foreign banks, mostly in Europe, and quite possibly into the Vatican. The final report of the Grace Commission convened under President Ronald Reagan, and he quietly admitted that none of the funds they collect from federal income taxes goes to pay for any federal government services. The Grace Commission found that those funds were being used to pay interest on the federal debt and income transfer payments to beneficiaries of entitlement programs like federal pension plans. Even your Social Security benefits that you're supposed to get. What's interesting too is a lot of people will pay into this. If you work at a W-2 type job, they're taking 7.5% out of your check, and also your employer pays 7.5%, or a total of 15% up until you're like 65, 62, 65, whenever you decide. You know how many people die before they pay into that 20, 30 years and die before they have collected anything and receive nothing? Where does all that money go? And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't go anywhere. It just goes back to the bankers in an interest, and they print new funds to issue out. So what else was I going to say? There's actually no law that says you need to fill out a W-2, but no one will probably hire you nowadays, just from the learned helplessness. But nobody questions anything. It's just the way it is. So yeah, none of your tax dollars goes to pay anything. And if you want, you should, if the IRS is sending you some sort of a bill in the mail, keep in mind too, it's coming to your all caps name, which is not you. It's a corporation set up at your birth, corporate fiction, that you, under adhesion contracts, agreed to be the administrator for. And technically all you need to do is sign for it and send it back to them. Because what their job is, the IRS, is administering and doing the bookkeeping for the bankruptcy. So they went into hoc with the lenders of last resort, these international bankers, in 1933. Actually before that, it goes all the way back. But in each 70-year international bankruptcy cycles ends, you have to put up more collateral. That's why now things are becoming more restrictive. And each U.S. citizen is responsible for about $150,000 worth of debt. And what's scary to me is that they're up to like $21 trillion and then plus another off-books unfunded liabilities. Who knows? But when you eliminate the debtor, you eliminate the debt. That's why after each one of these 70-year bankruptcy cycles, they go into a war footing in a war situation. And they go to war on a bank draft, believe it or not. They get a blank check from the bankers. As long as they eliminate the debt, which is eliminating the debt slaves. And believe it or not, I mean, we're being farmed. This is if you look at it, cold hard facts of the reality is. But there are solutions that you can do to kind of wake up and play the game that's been set out before us. Not to fight the game, because it's just a game. They started it and we continue it. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. Like, share, and subscribe if you want. Thanks for listening.